hike the half mile in because we're not dressed for it. So we just get stuck with Carbon Canyon Regional Park, which is very nice. It's beautiful out here. But there is so much to talk about because has your fear faded? Experts say it has. So before I get into it, please take a second. Please, the sham that has been perpetrated on us. And, it's only getting worse. This is kind of a cool lake. I really like lakes like this that really there's just...
I drew on that one. Hey, I tried to draw some lines there.
It's very cool.
And it didn't allow me to do any lines, I guess. So I'll just talk it out with you. This is GTII's chart as of a moment ago. And I don't remember what I said yesterday. I think I said it could gap open this morning. I think I said it would go to 150 and could go to $2, but I might have said it could go to that 180 range in here. I just don't know if that's, I don't remember what I said. But the point is, that's weird that I'm over there like a disembobulated, it's like a giant looking into a dollhouse. But anyway, the key here is that yesterday's action was just awesome. The volume was terrific at over 1 million shares. Today we're over, let me look where it is. We're at 1.89 million shares. So we're up 31 cents. Today's action is also very strong. So I guess, and I'm not trying to take credit, we all saw it. Many of you saw it. But yesterday was the turnaround where we were expecting. What this chart where the yellow is shows me, basically 1, 2, 3, 4 down days that they used all their might to try to drive downward. All in a heartbeat, it's gone. So everything they tried to climb is underwater. The other thing that stands out here is I think we are going to go over that. See, I can't quite tell what that number is, 180 range. And we are going to, potentially even today, we are going to close over that 200-day moving average, I think. The other item that I see is this gap over above February 13th. Why do gaps get filled? I don't know. Is that gap still in force? Probably not. Why? Because there's a lot of trading over sort of end of March in that range. So my guess is this stock doesn't have much resistance at that gap. But that would seem to me to be the first place that we would try to go is 225, 230, and then 210, maybe 215. It's hard to tell which one is. I can't show you, but it's where the gap is about 210, 215. Where all this fill in is around 225, 230. So those could be pauses for the cause, but I don't see much there. And then you have this $3 level, which I don't think poses any resistance at all. And what I tried to draw for you to show you is if you can imagine a horizontal line that is rising here on the bottom 2 points, and then in your mind's eye put it up above where these 2 red peaks are, you come up with a target of $556. Now that's a very sloppy analysis. Avid would have a heart attack. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you use the more modest horizontal, the uplifting horizontal, it's sort of a parallelogram, skip the bottom most and use these inner 2 and go up, and then also try to do a parallel above it, starting maybe with this gap in December at $1 and over. And I just can't, I wish I could show it to you. So that gives you 350 is as a target. So I would say that we're going to potentially go to that 350 range pretty quickly, and then maybe $5.50, $6. I'll close this down because it's not being very useful. Oh, I see. I was zoomed in. That's why I looked like a giant. That's why I looked like a let's do it like that. There, that's good. All right. All right, here's Barry. In at 120, out at 180, 168 for 40%. You're the man. See, you have more courage than I do. I don't have any courage of getting out. Matt K, I think that was a good trading by Barry, but it's more ballsy than I am. So what I think what's possible, it's a little loud, I know. I think what's possible, yesterday's volume, hey Fahad, yesterday's volume was, and then the snap back like that, it was terrific. But it was about 1 million shares. Today, I think I clearly will go over 2 million, I would guess. We're at 1,910,000 as we speak. I'm going to make the bold prediction that we will close higher than 170 today, but they have all sorts of tricks. But 2 million shares is good. To be up 22% is good. I'm going to go out on a limb. And obviously, I have a lot of trepidation of saying it because we've been waiting a long time. And I could be wrong. I most certainly am going to be wrong. But I think we might be on the verge. If you were tomorrow to see a day of 5 million or 10 million share volume and the thing goes up over $253, we might be on the verge of our breakout. And that's how I see it. I think this could be the beginning of the end for the shorts and the criminals. So fingers crossed. I'm willing to cautiously suggest to you to not go away from your computers over the next few days, because this might be it. Now, it's a little bit like calling an earthquake or calling an eruption at a volcano. Odds are that I'm saying it, they'll try to keep it down. But to me, this looks like shorts in trouble. And this isn't necessarily the Kramers in trouble. Their accounts were probably taken over by Alpine. It's not necessarily Alpine in trouble. What it might be is the ancillary criminals that were being paid off to help out are starting to say, wait a minute, there's nothing here for us, and how are we going to get paid? And all you need is one or two of them to fold, and it could start a cascading effect. Okay, so that's one thing I want to say. I forgot to look up before I came on, but I think it was Matt that told me by text yesterday that the warrant has already expired in GTII. That may well be. As the Brits say, that is as may be. I don't know. To my memory, it was a 2-year warrant that was issued in April. so it makes sense. But I've been told by someone close to this situation that for some reason that the warrants expire in August. I forgot to check on that, but I'm inclined to believe Matt that the warrants have already expired. So maybe that pressure point the Kramers outlasted. We'll see. We'll find out. The second thing I think is going on right now, which I might have been wrong on, I thought the restricted share warrant record date was April 15th. Well, that's Saturday. Somebody said I think somebody said yesterday, if my memory's correct, that it's April 13th. In any event, it's the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So I think you're going to get approval from FINRA for this distribution of restricted shares. FINRA is not going to see a problem with approving it because it's a publicly traded stock. Where they got burned before was with MMTLP. So I think that news could come, and I think that can be a trigger for ferocious buying in the stock. Will it be right away? I don't know. We'll find out. And then thirdly, I think the thunderclap, the jolt from the skies above, will be the FBI. I don't think the FBI is going to quit on tracking down whoever defrauded a retail brokerage firm of $4 million, whether it was $2.5, $3, or $4 million of millions of dollars. They're not going to quit, and that kind of arrest or notification, I think, could reverberate throughout the system. And then I guess we wait to see what Wes's lawsuit does. We wait to see what happens with 1-800 law firm, and we wait to see if the Treno mine deal comes through. I spoke to him earlier a couple of times, and he's spent 3 or 4 or 5 days with Avid Trader, getting Avid Trader up to speed on Pat Byrne. And I guess today Pat Byrne and Avid are going to have a Zoom call where Avid interviews Pat, and that'll be made public. So that might be an interview of note for you guys to keep an eye out for. It's probably going to be more about the history of Overstock and Pat's deep dive into all manner of issues here. So, you know, I did a lot of studying on Pat Byrne, so it'll still be interesting, but I'm not, you know, I think I'm kind of up to speed on that information. But anyway, that's something to keep out for. The other thing Ham told me is that and I think he put it on Twitter, so you see it. There's the shorts. Remember, the shorts are naked. They're criminals. I'm not talking about the real shorts, the people that follow the rules, are calling in. Now, well, how do you know it's from this company, it's that company, it's not the Kramers? They all work together. And they're calling in to buy shares from the company. This is a sign of weakness. And the last days, you know, driving the stock down from 230 to 130 in basically 5 or 7 trading days is also a sign of weakness. This is a totally upside down, terrible trade. No one in their right mind would do it from the short side unless they're trapped. And bear in mind that unlike many of the other stocks you've been involved in, Kurt Kramer, because he's so confident that at a minimum he's found a loophole. Look, this guy passed the Series 7. He knows he's breaking the rules, and he knows when you're a registered rep, it's incumbent on you to follow the rules. It's not incumbent on you to find out, well, there's a little bit of a gray area here, and if I get caught, I'll say, hey, I'm just one of two brothers trying to make a living. And I'll have my lawyer contact you and explain to you that I really didn't understand. My son's out there pitching financial products. I claim to provide sophisticated loans, and I passed the Series 7, but I really didn't understand that I was in a gray area. To be clear, when you're operating on Wall Street, you're not supposed to operate in gray areas. You're supposed to stay inside of the lines, not on the line. And that's just a fact. It's not like tennis. On the line is out in securities fraud. Well, as we're talking, the stock is moving. We're at 172, 2.12 million. So I really encourage you guys to make sure your GTC orders are in. Don't move away from your computers. If I'm the boy that cried wolf, well, so be it. But this has all the makings of a complete turnaround with a trap short that has no one to help him, and Alpine's in trouble, and somebody's buying the F out of this stock. It's 176 as we're talking. 175, 176. Liquidity is drying up in the marketplaces. I don't know, guys and girls. You might be in for the ride of a lifetime. Or she'll never call you back. 175, 176. All right, let me see what you're saying. Matt E., by the way, just because he does his homework and he actually works hard, unlike me. It is an April 15th record date. Matt E. just texted me, which means April 14th. So he's correcting me, the bastard. No, I'm glad he is. Thank you, Matt. He's correcting me. I said it would be Monday. He says no, it's the Friday. So that's Friday, April 14th. And the T plus is, wait a minute, Matt. Is that T plus 3 now, or is it now T plus 2? Let me do my terrible arithmetic. T is 12. Plus 1 is 13. Plus 2. So I guess we're now operating on T plus 2. And so you have tomorrow is the X date to qualify for that record date. And Matt says he can't see how it can be approved at this point, because that would be saying you must buy tomorrow, in his opinion. I don't know, Matt. You may be right. You may be right. I would say they can still approve it. And if you, I mean, they're not there to give you heads up so you can buy it before the X date. And most people have already bought. We'll find out, Matt. I take your caution. So Matt's basically saying that it's probably not likely to be approved this week. I'm going to say that it is likely today. Yeah, he's got a point. Could they approve it tomorrow? And we're already at 3:30. Matt's got a pretty good point. I see his point. Maybe if he combed his hair differently. All right, well. So then yesterday what Matt sent to me, now that I'm trusting his due diligence, that the warrant expired on the 8th, which was Saturday. There was no extension announced. So the divvy settlement date would be Friday. Oh no, that's anyway. That was what he was saying. What he updated today. So trust Matt. Don't trust me. We'll find out. It'll go down to the wire. It could explain why the stock started going up, though. And we'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, it's no use guessing. It's only a day or so away. And if they don't approve it, it'll be sometime in the future. So we're now 176, 177, 2.18 million shares. So I already won on my prediction, my brave prediction. Yeah, Matt just sent me that he's no longer trusting my judgment. He wants to hear what Lucky has to say about it. It's a pretty good choice, Matt. 177, 178, 2.19 million. Hey, Kevin, son. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards now instead of rolling all the way back because I forget which class I was in. Maybe it was accounting. He said if you get behind, just do your most recent question. I forget. Do you know that we're up 40 cents? Do you know that the criminals are down? I don't know. It depends if you believe the OTC short report or not. And if you believe Ham and believe my lying eyes. But it's potential that they're down today 300 million shares or more times 40 cents. Is that 1.2 billion? That seems a little bit whinging. 176, 177, 335. All right, let me see. UH, University of Hampshire, New Hampshire. Hey, Jenny L. Finally one above the wall, Key. They're trying to shake the tree, yeah. I really dig your peaches. I want to shake your tree. How is a person supposed to get around setting a good till cancel when a sell $20 limit GTC when it's 176? It won't let you. BWUSAF. I don't know what firm you're with, but I know at E-Trade you can set a high order. There's some firm that you can do a contingent order. If it goes to 10, then. But maybe some companies have just lowered the ability to put a GTC in, so at a high number. So I have three suggestions on that. One, call your broker and say, do not lend out my shares. Because that's one of the benefits of a good till canceled order. They can't lend out your shares. And you have the right to tell them you don't want your shares lent out. Secondly, you could try to do day orders. It's a lot more work, but you could just each morning put your orders in as a limit order for the day. And then the final thing is you could just not have orders in and make sure you're watching the stock trade. And the risk you run is if you're on an airplane for 3 hours, the whole thing could happen while you're reading about the latest go woke, go broke disaster at Anheuser-Busch. Should she make as much money as men when she made the most disastrous marketing decision since a man made the decision to change the flavor of Coca-Cola? I don't know. I come from a world where you get paid for what you do, not just because. Not just because. I'll leave it there. So we're 173.36 cents. So anyway, I think if you don't like the level that they can let you do GTCs, just see if it works as a day limit order, a limit order. A GTC is a limit order. Just put a limit order in the morning. They'll ask you, they'll ask you for the time frame and just for the day. And they may let you put that in. Have I considered an occupation in therapy? Jason, I think I should be in therapy. Oh, Lordy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My answer for therapy would be that I don't know how people do it, because I think it would overwhelm me, the stories but maybe now that I'm older, I wouldn't be as competitive. Sometimes you get competitive with who you're listening to. Hey, I did that. I didn't do that. How come I didn't get it? Oh, there is Wi-Fi in an airplane. Yeah. 1,500 would be nice. As I sort of, in a moment of complete doubt, not really doubt, but real, look, I am not sure that the data at OTC short report can be relied on 100%. On the other hand, it's the only data we have. Gary Gensler's not going to look for us. I know that back when the warrant was first issued as a special dividend, that whole process I've told you about, where you had to fill out a form, get your warrant transferred to Liberty Stock Transfer, one of the brokerage firms, and to my memory, it was TD Ameritrade, but my memory could be faulty. There was a complete discrepancy on what showed up at the company's books. In other words, what GTII showed, for sake of argument, that TD Ameritrade had in TD Ameritrade's name, in street name. And to my memory, that number was huge. 40 or 60 million shares, just for one company. Now, I'm admitting to you, it's my memory. The exact number isn't the point. The point is, and the exact firm's not the point. The point is, one firm 2 years ago had a massive difference between what we as shareholders were reporting to the transfer agent that we held at that firm versus what the DTC was showing. So what does it tell me? It tells me there is a rather large and significant gap between what are real shares and what are held in your accounts. Now, I've been told that, well, you don't know, that those could be real borrowed shares. It could be people from overseas selling the stock. It could be some big shareholder lending out the shares. Well, I suppose all of those things may be true. And there's certainly things you have to assume in almost every stock. AMC, GME, LOD. So the difference here is you've got one trap short, Kurt Kramer. You've got one trap short, Kurt Kramer, who no longer has access to shares. The deal's off, and the shares were returned to the corporate treasury from the transfer agent. You have all of you and whales investing in the stock who are not selling and are not lending out their stock. You have acquisitions made with restricted shares that are still under restriction. So I just don't see where the possible borrowing of significant shares, which we can't account for, exist. I just don't see it. But maybe there's some, maybe there's some sleight of hand that we just can't see. The only person that could shine a light on it is Gary Gensler. And he says our markets are the most transparent in the world. I feel pity for the rest of the world. So anyway, I think the number is huge, 350 million shares. But some people say, it might be a lot less. Doesn't matter really. If it's only 10 or 20 or 40 million shares, it's enough to cause the stock to explode to the upside. And the fact that we don't know is really on the brokerage firms, which I guess it's privileged information because TD Ameritrade doesn't want Ken Griffin to know that TD Ameritrade is in trouble because Ken Griffin would trade against the box. But the regulatory bodies should know. And so all I can do is go with the data that's there and the information that I have and try to make the best call as possible. But I have imperfect knowledge. I've been told that you can't trust the OTC short data at all by one person. So I don't know what to. And someone told him, so I guess it's two people said it. And I don't know what to say about that because they don't provide an alternative source of information, an alternative source of data. So I wanted to say one more thing about it, but I can't remember now. I wanted to say one more thing about that. I can't remember. Well, we're not at 185 as I'm looking at it, MKC. But let me refresh my screen. No, I see 174, but still 174. It's better than a sharp stick in the eye. And we've got my arithmetic. We've got 14 minutes left to go, and we're at 222 volume. One of your friends in Dubai, he's going to buy 30,000. Yay! And Fahad, I want to go to Dubai. I want to bring you with me. Can you drive your lorry up from how do you say that one emirate? Sharm, I can't say it. Chartres to Dubai. That's not long enough hauls for you. That's the problem. Once you drive American highways, nothing compares. Woody Curtis, Lou is stuck on AMC. I think it irks him. He lost money on AMC. So did I. I only have a couple of hundred in AMC and now 70. Wow. 70K in GTI. I'm not telling you to fall in love with GTII. And in fact, Woody, a lot of the people, like, who just told me? Barry just told me. A lot of the people, a lot of you guys have been trading GTII, and it's been brilliant. But, and I wish I had. I tell you, some nights I go to sleep and I wonder, why didn't I? But I'm in Ham's camp. I'm not in this stock for $1 or $5. I think that once it runs, it's going to be, yeah, he says the term life-changing. Son Louis. If the counterfeit shares are indeed over 300 million, I can't imagine the stock price once they start covering. Well, this is it. If today's 2.2 million the volume goes up 35%. Kevin Turner, NCMI being pumped by AMC. What's my average? I don't know if it matters, but I also don't know if I should say, but I don't know the answer. I think it's well under $1, but I'd rather not look, and I'd rather not find out. But my operating assumption that it's about somewhere between 60 and 80 cents is where I think my average is. Not that it matters to anybody. I did buy shares much higher, and much higher than this, and I'm assuming that I traded out of some of those to get into CRTD, which was a nice trade until the Black Friday decision. But I don't know the answer, and I'd rather not look it up right now because it's really not relevant to the decisions on how to exit a stock. Well, I think averaging down makes sense, but remember, the price you pay for getting a low average is time. Once the stock starts to break out, and if you're stuck thinking, shit, I should have bought it at $1.10 and it's $2.50, I gotta wait till it pulls back. You could miss the move to 25. So momentum. Sometimes you buy higher. Remember, your only goal is, and I agree with Woody, you don't need to fall in love with a stock. You don't need to make money on one stock. It can be a different stock. And you don't have to make your money in GTII from $1.10 to $10. You can make it from $2.50 to $12.50. You know? It's not, I mean, this isn't brain surgery, and it's not Michelangelo, and it's not, it's not perfection. Well, it is better to miss out than to fade away, VO Warrior. The problem with bag holding, and I feel like I'm there with CRTD, is the problem with bag holding is you lose your optionality. You lose your ability to participate in the next opportunity. And we all go through it. Even the most seasoned of investors will make the mistake of not selling something and taking some money off the table because you want to have some cash. If there's a discount on the price, you want to have cash for a pullback, in other words. And you want to have cash for another idea. It's 169, 170, 500 to 1,074, 2.26. So it's literally gone up about 30, maybe 35,000 shares. It's not very much. Well, breaking even, VO Warrior. And I'll try to get some more of your questions. I got behind, so I'm just answering what I read as it rolls right here. I'll try to scroll back in a second. Breaking even is what the criminals want you to get out for, but I'm not telling you not to. Theo, I'll miss William if he stops live streaming, though. No more Moon River, wider than the time. No, 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 no. River. Lena always. 250. What did Jenny L say? Abdul Razik, question. I know your question already. Is it going to squeeze Thursday? No, I'm kidding you. Well, first, happy Ramadan. Yes, happy Ramadan to you. All the blessings that God can give you. So, as far as the dividend, for every one share we have, no. You got it, as they say in Virginia, you got it back assward. Every 10 shares you have, you get one. But still, it's enough to cause a squeeze if it works. Does DBMM have the potential of GTII? Joe Power, I think so, but I think Kurt Kramer almost has that company killed because he keeps selling. The system keeps taking his orders, and it's going to be really hard for them to raise money. But I think the CEO is really good, and I think she's got a lot of fight in her. But they're on the verge of getting that stock to the point it can never get up off the mat. Yes, CP00CP Shark, CPO Sharky. Let's get to 9. I agree. JMO Photographic. Price action is BS. Yeah, that's true. Can't argue with that. Gives us something to talk about. Song Wei, hoping that they need to close their position, especially with Divi. You don't know. I don't know that the dividend is going to cause instant karma is going to get you. It might take a week, 5 weeks. Who knows? Scott Scheller, come on, tell the truth. Did you decide to help us all out and buy $1 million or so? No, I wish I could have. But there are buyers out there. There are buyers coming in. The one. Oh, Rudy Myers. You're at the Jewish Museum, the Holocaust Museum? Wow, that is one of the most moving I mean, it's easy if you go through the hall of the shoes and the black and white picture. Oh my gosh. But it also, just like the movie Schindler's List, if you choose to see it, there's great hope and faith. There's great it's hard to say amongst all that, but there's goodness there too when you read the stories about, well, in the movie it was Oskar Schindler and everyone that worked together. But when you read the stories about people in the face of all that evil took the risk to help. So even in all that darkness, there's reason to see that human beings can be good. But boy, that's a tough museum to go through. I did it by myself, and it's just really shocking. The evil, the cruelty that was perpetrated on over 6 million Jews, and by the way, Gypsies and Catholics, another 2 million apparently. But just the absolute horror, the evil. And you hope, when, as I did anyway, that nothing like it ever happens again. But the children, just the horror of it. It's just the horror of it. I'm glad you went to the Jewish Museum, Rudy. If you want, the Air and Space Museum is a respite, and there's a new Native American museum to go to, and there's an African American museum. I haven't really been to either one, but there's 2 other museums. There's one that's in the Red Castle, and you go deep and you see it's underground. It's really nice. I'm forgetting the name right now. And then the East Wing, the art is great. Actually, the whole Smithsonian's a lot. It's a treasure. But welcome to D.C., Rudy. Yeah, BWUSF, somebody's trying to buy it, 100,000 shares. These arms of mine, they long for you. Any thoughts on a number they would feel comfortable paying? No one's going to give them the stock. These arms of mine. No one's going to, GTI is not going to sell at any price. Well, a few thousand a share maybe. Jenny, Rebecca, I don't have the thousands of shares like a lot of people, but I am not taking a low number for my shares. Yeah, I agree with that. 1,700 more the one, that's great. Look, I could be wrong, but it feels like if it's going to happen, it could be right now. Don't count your chicken till it's hatched, guys. Well, I know. I'm not trying to sell hopium, but CPO Sharky, why is it fair that the criminals can sell dopium or depressium or don't deserve to make any money or investing is a losing game for years by counterfeiting, and we're not allowed to have a little hope when the supply and demand factors move in our direction. I don't know that it's hopium. And you shouldn't be in the stock. GTII is not a stock to be in if you want to buy a fundamental stock. I would tell you, for example, Logic at 35 cents, that easily could be $1.50 within 2 months. $1.60. That's essentially 5 times your money. That's all in fundamentals. And then if a short squeeze kicks in, it goes higher. Go Logic could be $20 in a year. 10 times your money. GTII is not a stock that you're coming into for the fundamental story. Their asset is this massive, stupid trap short, greedy trap short. And I don't think it's hopium. I think I've laid out the case for a short squeeze. To me, CPO Sharky, anything that makes the stock pick a number, go to 10, go to 15, go to 20, go to 25, I don't know the number. But anything that makes it go there should make it go to 100, 200, 250. Why? They just got to buy so much stock back. And once it reaches the tipping point and it's out of control. But I don't think I'm selling hopium. I'm selling, and I'm not selling. I'm trying to share an idea. But what I'm suggesting on a risk-reward basis, you can risk $1.70 a share on a long-term option that could give you 10 to 1. It could give you 100 to 1. And it could give you 1,000 to 1. Gosh darn it. People like me. We're getting short attacked. Yeah, Scott, it's good for some of those people. Keep it to myself, Dad. Yeah, I don't know the exact number. I don't even know what a bracket is, Zizu, but my targets are high. But I think, Zizu, to be upfront about my sense of it, I think there's going to be a lot of selling when this stock gets back to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. I think a lot of people are just going to be getting out. So my interpretation of that, Zizu, is there's so much stock still to buy that it's still going to be able to go high. Only you can decide if there. So many people are just going to have a relief sell. Wow, thank God I got out. Only you can decide, well, maybe it doesn't go very high. I know Avid does not believe, at least that's what he's expressed so far, but his charts can change his mind, I'm sure. He's expressed that the really high numbers are unlikely. So there's people that have different points of view. I'm not faulting them. So Zizu, I think you have to kind of, yeah, Kevin, I know it's not really your business. I shouldn't have even given the answer I did. Yeah, Dave Allen is, my understanding is based on what Matt E. just gave, which is great, and also my understanding of the trading in the past. If the record date is, yeah, I might have gotten it wrong actually, so I appreciate Matt E.'s clarification. So it's the 14th. That means tomorrow is the last day. However, we don't know that it's been approved yet. And I think it's going to be approved, but I can see Matt's point. Maybe it just doesn't get approved. I know that's the damnable thing, is when you run out of power. Nikuja Haraya. I gave my best answer on my average. I've been in it a long time. Okay, homie. Rolling like Boss Playa. Playa means beach, or is that in French? I'm in GTII for a new house, not a house payment. I like that, Spiny. That's great, Jason. You got yours down from 5 to 213. It's great. Look, I'm not as worried about when people talk about their targets and their price. I don't think the shorts can do much with it. They can try to psych you out, but I don't think you're psych outable any longer. And I think everyone on this call and most of the people on the space calls, if they all sold, it'd still go much higher. But that's that's a matter of opinion. I'm glad you wrote Chancellor Margaret Zern, Woody. Jack Wolf, the college fund into GTII. Well, Jack Wolf, if you did that, I strongly recommend that as it goes up, if it does, that you take that fund's initial equity off the table. In other words, pick a number. Maybe you sell half your position to get your fund back, or maybe you sell 30% to get your fund back, or 10%. But whatever it is, don't let it ride. Ride, ride, ride. Let it ride. My love does it good. Oh, my love. Oh, my love. Only my love does it good. Only my love. Only my love. Yeah, I'm a little better mood. Forget who asked me. True Blue. It's because it's a gorgeous day. We're on the most beautiful planet in the solar system, and possibly in the universe. We've got friendly animals, friendly birds, bumblebees, tulips. It's a lot to be happy for. Dennis Sullivan, I feel pity for the rest of the world. I might give up going backwards. Could you explain about the ongoing GTI lawsuit? Yeah, I'll try rosy gray glasses. Stony Bones, I've been seeing a ton of deals going down in the Permian lately. I assume you mean happening, not going down in price. Yeah, the Permian's a little bit of a modern miracle. Hey, Picos Bill. The Permian is... Well, they're not going to give us a level playing field because they're bought, but I don't think it's hopeless. I don't think it's hopeless. The Permian is huge, and I hate that they've been flaring. Natural gas like Kansas did and Wyoming did, but they've now started to build pipelines so they can get it out of there. But I think the biggest changes, obviously, are the the horizontal drilling, but it's the fracking technology, whether it's horizontal or even vertical. So technology's been a huge change. But don't get all excited that changes your long-term issue that's coming with peak oil. In my judgment, it's just putting more straws, bigger straws, into the milkshake. If you give a milkshake if you give two milkshakes, you have two kids, and they're playing, one's a girl playing with her dolls, and one's a little boy playing with his trucks. You give them each a milkshake and a straw. One of them, the boy maybe, will take his milkshake and just suck it all down because he's so excited to have it. But the little girl might drink her milkshake a little more slowly because she enjoys it so much. She wants to stretch it out, and she knows if she drinks it quickly, it'll be all gone. But they each make their own decisions. But if instead those two children are there playing and you bring them, let's just say it was McDonald's, and you gave them each a medium-sized milkshake, if instead you gave them one extra large milkshake or one large milkshake, two straws, well, all of a sudden, the boy is going to drink the way he was drinking probably in this example, but all of a sudden the little girl gets no reward for husbanding her milkshake, so she joins in and they both suck it out as quickly as possible. Well, that's a little, I know it's another example is the North Sea. That was a inheritance, a monumental gift of nature to Norway and to the United Kingdom. Well, Maggie Thatcher, who goes up in the pantheon of glorified heroes among many of my friends with Ronald Reagan, I think they're somewhat misguided, by the way. But Maggie May, she went out and threw a party, and she just sucked all that oil. She said, let's just suck it, burn it, and just consume it and sell it, build out London, build out our highways. They did a little better job of it than the United States. They built good rail system, local system. So in some ways, it was an endowment well spent. But I have my problems in the United States. I think God gave us plenty of oil, but I think Reagan squandered it. And in fairness, I think Trump had an opportunity to say, let's start building high-speed rail. Let's build our ports better. Let's build our airports better. Perhaps design our downtowns so that people downtown have to live by rail rather than by car. And then make sure our highways are excellent so people can use their vehicles, let's say from Houston to Dallas, but inside of downtown Houston or inside of the ring roads, maybe transportation is by rail. I don't know. I'm making it up on the fly. But instead, what we've done is try to recreate the 1960s and 70s and 50s. And I think that path is an illusion. Now, the Democrats, going along with George W., launched into massively wasteful wars with pointless. And I think provably now they were pointless. I said it then, but I think looking back on 23 years of squandering, RFK said it really well in his announcement that he's going to run for president. I used to say it. I said it differently. I didn't write it down. But at the time I was vociferously Democrat. I had a girlfriend who was a Republican, and she thought I was crazy. But I said, I think George W. Bush is going to get us into war. And I think he's going to start a war with Iraq or with, I forget the other. I had 3 countries. Iraq. Anyway, I was correct. I forget exactly which of the 3. And I said, while we waste our money bombing deserts, I might have said Afghanistan, assaulting mountains, China's going to be out there spending their money on economic development and locking down trade deals and helping out Africa and South America, while we just squander. And I said that to her. She thought I was just out of my mind. Well, I think I've been somewhat proven right, but I don't want to be right. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. Your mama and daddy say. I can't remember the lyrics right now, but the point is, the Permian is a miracle for the United States. It's partly technology, but the other part of it is the Texas Railroad Commissioner, the most powerful person in the state of Texas, and then the lieutenant governor, and then George W. Bush, when he was governor, he was 3rd, and pretty meaningless position being governor compared to the power of the others. But that guy, and I think his name was Gonzalez, I had dinner with him twice. He made the decision, and maybe it had to be approved. I don't know the process down in Texas. But he made the decision, maybe with legislative approval, that you could produce out of all zones simultaneously. The Railroad Commission used to limit production. That was the purpose. Now when you go down, you can frack all zones vertically and produce out of them all at once. And this is just a huge financial rate of return difference in drilling for oil in Texas. But what Maggie did was she spent her endowment of the North Sea. What Norway did is they were, of course they're not as big an economy, but they were more careful. They doled it out slowly. They were more like the little girl in my example. They drank their milkshakes slowly. Maggie said, let's throw a party. Let's have a big old time. Free markets, the world is great. Well, the UK, unfortunately, is the only country that's in worse position is Ireland. They're on the ass end of the pipelines coming out of Russia. And winters could get really cold in Ireland and Wales and in the UK. We'll see how good capitalism is at replacing the oil that was all consumed. I think very quickly the special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom is going to be cast aside. Whatever you think about politics, the United States is rapidly losing its standing in the world. And I don't think it's going to take long for the UK to recognize that they need to have their special relationship with China and maybe India and maybe Russia, in general with the BRICS nations, and that it's time to to say sayonara to. But I think it'll take a little while. But anyway, the miracle of the Permian Basin, and the reason deals, as you say, are probably be going around, is the rates of return are so fantastic. But I hope that Texas and other parts of the country use some of this wealth, this energy, to build out a sustainable, and I'm not advising that it should be controlled by the government or that it should be some sort of woke BS. I'm just saying, basically what I'm saying, when you drive an automobile, you get somewhere between 5 and as high as maybe 35 miles per gallon. When you drive a diesel truck, I don't even know, you get, 7 miles per gallon? Maybe it's a little bit more. When you drive a Hummer, I can't imagine what you're getting. So when you base your entire life on oil, you can there's probably a calculation you can make as to how many miles you have left driving this miracle. I mean, this much gasoline can do amazing things in your life that horses and people can't do. But at some point, when gasoline gets really expensive, and I think it's headed to $25, $30 a gallon. I'm not saying tomorrow. Well, shipping will be better done on rail lines. Now, in Spain, they have spent money on building in China, Japan, building the most modern rail lines. We don't have them. We've been bombing a desert and assaulting a mountain. But the other thing is when you use water to transport, boats, people, gasoline, oil goes a long, long way when you're transporting by water or by rail. So I just think eventually we're going to need these infrastructure systems. And maybe the free market will do it. But I'm not sure the United States is a free market anymore. I think the banks practice socialism, and a lot of our resources go to these geniuses that promise rates of return. Well, their rates of return, as much as they want to put their green shades on and show up at horse races and have the biggest swinging front gates in town, their returns are all predicated on energy. I do not care what you tell me. Everything is predicated, from technology to just-in-time delivery to the steak on your plate, which is now going to be, the Biden administration is going to inject cattle and hogs with the mRNA vaccine. Follow the science. Well, it's a vaccine only in the sense that it might become a vaccine, and it's science only in the sense that it might become science. Both cases, it's experimental. It's experimental, and they're going to pump it in our foods. So it's Orwellian. But anyway, all of that is predicated on energy. It's all energy. And for these people to go to college now and come out woke and talk about, energy's basic. It's power. It's human energy. Human work. And it's nice to be woke. Without energy, you get nowhere. hydrogen is unfortunately a battery. It's not the answer. Matt Simmons, I think, was onto something, and he died. And I'd still like to go up and visit if his daughter is still around doing it. But Matt Simmons was pushing for in Maine. In Maine, you don't need air conditioning, but they have these offshore windmills that produce energy for warmth, electricity in the winter. But they produce, but they just sit there in the spring, summer, fall. So I'm not a scientist, but his basic idea and what he was working on, and maybe they still are, is that you can use seawater. You can spin the wheels. You take out the hydrogen. It's electrolysis or something. But the waste product is ammonia, and then water. But it's ammonia, and apparently ammonia can burn in a combustion engine almost as well or as well as gasoline. And I think that could be the answer in the future. But I'm not a scientist, and I'm basing it on my conversations I had with him over the phone and in person of many, many years ago. So, so in other words, I'm a free market guy, but I think there's better things to do. Who was it that said it? It might be Professor Dreyfus. That's not who it was. Ken Dayfries. I'm not sure that's who it was either. It might be that guy out of Scotland. Anyway, right now I can't remember the author. There's just so many books that I studied on oil. But he said, I'll remember it probably as I'm talking, he said, someday you're going to have your grandchild on your lap, and your grandchild may look up to you and ask you, Daddy or Granddaddy, what did you do with all the oil? And the only answer that's going to be is we burned it all. I'm hoping that we wake up and we use the oil we have, but I'm not recommending it be told to us from government, top down, although the Chinese model in some ways has some advantages over ours because they have the government who believes in science, maybe, and then they have capitalism down below. Remember, communism and democracy are not descriptions of economic systems. So if you have your government telling you this is our game plan, our 10-year plan, our 5-year plan, our 20-year plan, and we want you to guide that way, great. But in the United States, we don't have a 20-year plan. We have the next quarter. But look at what China's done. I mean, they've built massive amount of ghost cities. I think they've misallocated resources in many, many ways. So I'm not sure that works. I would tell you, I think our system has turned at least social, where we We privatize the risks. These big swinging front gate fences can get all the profit, and we've socialized the losses. And we've by government fiat, we've decided that Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson are onto the greatest invention since Jonas Salk. And therefore, the government should take away all risk. You can't sue them, and mandate that you have to buy this experimental clot shot and do it for 3 years. It's a hell of a thing. We've decided as a government that the best source of our best spending of your money is with the banksters. We have decided the best thing is to make sure Goldman Sachs survives, and Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. That's what we've decided. We've decided that our farms should be, the seeds should be provided by ADM, and the produce should be grown with experimental technologies, I guess. You put a salmon DNA into a corn stalk. I don't know. Does that have long-term danger to our food supplies? Hey, it's all about profit. So anyway, I'm not sure that government can figure out what are the best alternatives in the future, but I think we don't have a free market now, and I think government decisions, particularly by this administration, but by others, have perversely affected the ability to ensure a strong economic future for all of us. One of the best industries I've ever seen is the oil and gas business. I think it's amazing. And honest people that take great care with the environment, and people that make allocate financial resources appropriately. I think it's tremendous. But anyway, I got off on all that because you asked about the Permian. There's enormous amounts of oil in the Permian. But if we suck it all out really quickly, without changing a little bit of how we spend it. One thing Matt Simmons said to me a lot, said it on his videos, that one of the answers, instead of everyone getting in their car and being trapped in hour-and-a-half traffic jams, one of the answers, he said, in the future is to telecommute, just work from home. Guess what? COVID did it. So there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope that we're going to, and technology has done it. There's a lot of hope that we'll get through this. And we'll see. But, guys, I don't remember the numbers. But China we have 300 million people. I think we have 1 billion automobiles. I think that's the number. It might be more by now. China wants to live like we do. Well, China has 900 million people that want to have automobiles. If they just live like people live in Mexico, we don't have enough oil. There isn't enough oil. And that's why China's building rails. They're building cities where people have to all live together, where they can walk and use public transport. But India, same thing. China's building coal plants and nuclear power plants. I've turned really risk adverse on nuclear power. At least the old style plants. But anyway, that's what China's doing. We don't have enough oil. We don't have enough coal. Natural gas we might have enough to do, particularly if we can find a way to capture the methane hydrates. There's a lot of natural gas. Siberia is the permafrost. There's more natural gas there, but we don't know how do you trap it. Anyway, so that all started because of the Permian question. Let's look at the stock. So I was wrong. I said it would close higher than where it had traded. I think it was either 170 or 169. It closed at 170, so I was wrong on that. It closed at 170. I made the bold prediction it would be over 2 million shares, and it was barely over it, 2.34 million. But this is exciting price action. It was as high as 178. This is a trap short. This is a trap prime broker. This is a trap system. And I think fasten up your seatbelts, just in case. Wow, CB, I like that. The most creative times in history for all countries is when the bankers move on. I love it. They made progress with nuclear fusion. They've made progress with, and who knows? Who knows? Wow, Frank Lehman, you can't get solar in Florida. Insurance company doesn't like holes in the roof because if the wind comes in a hurricane, I guess the pressure, trying to figure that out. If they can blow through the hole, they can lift the whole roof. I'm guessing that's why. China was financed by the West. There is no China. It's the great financial world tour. Through history, the bankers move country to country, construct and destruct. Well, it's interesting, CB. That's true. Human beings have done that. They build. I don't know anything about GNS other than when you do. Anyway, I there's no upside in me talking about GNS. I know Spiny. No one wants to do that. No one wants public transport. Their vaccines had no side effects, were also good for cancer, which have cut into Big Pharma. Frank Lehman. What was the deal with GTI? Somebody asked me another question. Oh, the lawsuit. I got to talk about that. Oh, man. Imagine if the over-the-counter... Who was that? Cat Zone. Imagine if the over-the-counter market were a source of capital, like Gary Gensler says our markets are. And so you could have an idea, Cat Zone, that sound at the right frequency can move tons of rock. Which I think might be how the pyramids were built. But no one knows. But let's say you have that. So you raise a little bit of money from your friends and your dad and your boyfriend. And you start a company. And that gets you through. My friend started Verifone. She was a jeweler. She had a tough life out of China. She moved to Hawaii. She oh, I see James Spitios. FDA stalled a company called Innovio, which was developing DNA vaccines, but they were not allowed to come out. Yeah, greatly manipulated. Yep. So anyway, my friend years ago ran a jewelry store, and this is before you guys even have a memory. I remember it because I used to have to do it when I worked retail. She said, people would come in to the store and they'd buy a diamond ring, but if it's big enough, they give me credit card. I have to go to the phone. I make a phone call, and then I have to check. You had to this every day or every week. They gave you a printout of bad credit card numbers. You had to check, and then you make phone call. And if phone call, you take 20 minutes, and when they come back to you, they say you can't take card. I say, aha. What if instead of phone call, you could just essentially swipe the card? So she borrowed money against her house and her family's house, put it all together, and I think their first customer was Sears. But they built the first machines that allowed you to swipe your card or type in, maybe at that time it was just punch in the account number. And they built, they got an order out of Korea, maybe? I don't know where they had these machines manufactured. But they put it all, they bet it all, they borrowed it, they bet it all on this one shipment and fulfilling this one order. And she was with her husband in Montana or wherever celebrating, and she got a phone call. I got a phone call. The entire shipment was on the KAL 007 flight that Reagan shot the China shot to the bottom of the sea because it had gone into their airspace. So they lost everything. But she said, "But don't you worry. You not worry. I had I think free on board." Anyway, she had insurance that insured it until delivery. So it wasn't her risk. It was the risk of the insurance company. But she started Verifone, VFIC. And then she tapped the over-the-counter markets. And ultimately, it was bought by my brain. Hewlett Packard. Well, that's how capital formation works in the United States. You get an idea. I stand there at phone. Why I take all this time? And it was an idea. Changed every time you swipe. It was her idea, and her husband, apparently really smart. Well, what if someone has an energy idea, or someone has the next idea in the over-the-counter markets now, whether it's military or healthcare, or it's just finance, or it's just as simple as being an incubator of smaller companies and helping them go public. Kurt Kramer steps in and says, that's a bad idea. That is a really bad idea. But first, we're going to smile. We'll lend you some money, and we're going to say, we'll help you build that idea. But as soon as you're signed up, we're going to crush that stock to oblivion. Why? My brother and I were just two fellas from Great Clam, New York. We're building our family fortune. What are we doing wrong? Hey, CEO knew what they were signing. It's not on us. Well, the whole system's designed, and I don't know how we're going to allow the genius of the free markets, the ingenuity of Americans and international people that come here. How's it gonna work? When all of the profit goes to the overpaid wankers, when the banksters have set everything up, even the government, Goldman Sachs owns everything. They got rid of Theresa May. They put this buffoon in. He's Goldman Sachs. They erased it from all of the guy that took over Italy years ago, Goldman Sachs. The guy that took over Greece years ago, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs everywhere. It's turtles all the way down. Goldman Sachs all the way down. Why? Because they're geniuses? No, they cheat. They cheat. They have inside information. They act first, and they cheat, and they use leverage. And when the leverage doesn't work, they go to you, the taxpayer, to bail them out because, the system's going to fall. Who gives a F if the system's going to fall? Are you going to still be able to drive your truck? Are you going to still be able to grow corn? Can you still work? Of course. There's going to be a dislocation for a while, but let them all go down. The Cat Zone, I think the CEO of AMC, Adam Aron, may or may not intentionally be aiding, but they probably come to him and say, look, we're going to get you completely out of debt. There's, I don't know the numbers, $100 million, $1 billion going to be on your balance sheet. And you, as an old man, you can sail out into sunset. Your children are going to have their inheritance. And you can do that, or you can fight us. I think when they decide that. See, you and I, we're not a constituency. The bankers are a constituency. And Adam Aron is a lazy son of a bitch at a minimum. He's going to say, all right, I'll take the money. That's what COSM did. That's what COSM did. And I think it got manipulated. I don't really want to talk about it because it's yesterday. Shoo doo 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 doo. It's yesterday once more. So I want to do a call on Logic and on Go Logic, and I may do it tomorrow with Brent. I got to call him after I get off of this. I also want to look at VOCL. I have no idea. The stock is 12 cents. So they ran it up and they short it back down. Why? Because the guy has got to stop trusting Wall Street. Everybody knows he needs money. He does these name changes and this change and talks and everything. I'd support him. But they know that he's going to need money, so they just sell it right down. And you know what is in his balance sheet is debt to Kurt Kramer. And he, as long as he trusts people like Jeff Easton and works with lawyers that just want to settle. Anyway, don't give up on it. There's another stock that I'm sure Barry Crouch traded better than I did. It went to 20 cents. It's back to 12 cents. Wolf is up finally, but that's a good story. And let's see where somebody asked about GNS. $1.16, of course. Of course. Dun 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 dun. I'm fighting the big fight. I'm the one fighting it. It's my $2 billion fight. Well, the problem is, without disparaging anybody's motives, Wall Street is designed, as soon as you start buying and driving a stock up, they're going to crush it. And so we got to fight it. GTI is the only stock I know, and MMTLP, by definition, they can't do anything with the price of MMTLP. They're trapped, just like you're trapped. But I think it's going to come out in your favor. Anyway, GTNS 116. See, here it is. GNS 329 settled, an amicable settlement. Genus Group settles litigation with Ultra Opportunity Master Fund. What is Ultra Opportunity Master Fund, SPC, Anton Capital, and Wakas Khatri? They're just Kurt Kramer. So the company is going to agree that they're not an unregistered broker-dealer. What does Hamilton know about securities law? Why is it in his position to determine when a group of people sell stock that don't exist, it's not unregistered securities? If he did it without a prospectus and without notifying the SEC, he'd be arrested, go to jail. But I guess he's in a position to determine that they didn't do it. And he's in a position to determine they otherwise committed no wrongdoing. I mean, the good thing, the companies, anyway, doesn't matter. They can keep shorting the crap out of the stock. I don't know why people get lost in all this legal crap. To go to GTII, Kurt Kramer doesn't follow the rules. He doesn't follow the law. Why is he going to follow another agreement when you settle it amicably? Anyway. It's hard to get CEOs to see how corrupt Wall Street is. And particularly when they need money, they're funding their own dream. They're trying to get the girl. They're trying to have their family, all that. They don't want to see that this is it's an illusion. You're off to do yard work. Well, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Well, Chris Daniel, I think the one thing that could happen that should happen, just enforce the rules. The rules are there in black and white. Just enforce it. Enforce a failed to deliver. Put one person in jail. It'd be all over, across the markets. I wonder who the attorney was for GNS. I raise money for, distance learning. There's a lot of competition in that space. Anyway, that's a busted trade. Yeah, good night, Cat Zone. 5 o'clock. Maybe we should call it a short night. It's difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends upon not understanding it. Upton Sinclair. I like that one. I might use that. It's too long, but I might use that. That's a very good one. Yeah, GNS settled. Bye, Jenny, Rebecca. I was going to tell you a story, but I'm going to end it now, I think, at 5 o'clock. It's just so beautiful. And I'm not sure I'm adding to your knowledge of GTII. But yesterday's trading, today's trading, excellent. And we'll find out if Matt E. is right. I have a feeling he is. Or if I am. And I have a feeling I'm not. Yeah, GNS did settle. Per their news announcement. Yeah, I've heard news is something on MMTLP. Tomorrow would be great to have a run in GTII. But anyway, let's call it there and wish you all a good night. And thank you for signing in. And I have a good feeling right now. So, cheers.